Quasi here, and in today's video, I want to share with you the 3 weird things that I did every single day to change my relationship with money and ultimately manifest more money into my life. So by the end of this video, I'm going to share with you exactly what these 3 things are, but not only that, I'm going to share with you how you can apply them effectively. So I want you to pay attention throughout this whole video because I'm going to be sharing some contextual details that will help you understand those 3 things better. Okay, so without further delay, let's go right ahead and get started. If you're new to the channel, or even if you've been following and you have no idea who I am, I started my journey in personal development almost at a similar time that I started my entrepreneurial journey. I was always interested a little bit in making more money and experiencing abundance. And I talk about this a little bit. I was inspired by my entrepreneur friends who I had at the time when I was in college, and I was supposed to go into a 9-to-5, a full-time engineering job. And I saw that this isn't something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I felt trapped, and I looked at my colleagues around me and they were kind of depressed. They didn't want to do this job. It was at a box plant making paper boxes, and I was like the maintenance engineer. And I thought surely there must be something more for me. My skill sets could be put to better use. So that's why I inquired and I looked and I found all these online courses and coaching, and then I invested in myself, and a lot of things had to happen, a lot of shifts had to happen internally before I could arrive at this place. Both mindset, both learning tactics and strategies, and just understanding myself better, which is probably the number one thing that helped me out. So, brief story about myself would be that, but I deeply struggled with money in particular. So when I was younger, I had everything quite easy, like relatively easy, right? In terms of getting fit, going to the gym, I was always kind of skinny, so I could stay in shape. It wasn't like a big deal for me. Just gaining muscle was a little bit hard. I figured that out. I was good at school, I got good grades. Relationship-wise, I had no trouble. Well, I had some trouble meeting women, but then I also worked on that and fixed that. But the one thing I always had trouble with was money. And that was because I had a twisted, toxic relationship to money. I always viewed money as something that was evil, and I saw the rich as evil. And I think society does a lot of that, right? Like you look at social media, or you look at movies where the wealthy are portrayed as evil, money hungry. And so people start to view the rich as evil. But part of me viewed the rich as evil, and it made me feel comfortable in that belief. Okay, so we have all of these beliefs because they keep us comfortable. They allow us to stay within our comfort zones and survive. Our beliefs are survival mechanisms. I believe that if money is evil, then I don't have to go after money, I don't have to make money, and I don't have to try to get rich. I can just stay poor and stay comfortable. And I only realized that when the pain of staying in that 9-to-5 job was strong enough. When it was so strong, I was like, you know what? I want to make more money so I can get more freedom. And so, my relationship with money was just a little bit toxic, and I just didn't know how to overcome it. And because of that, I would always hoard money. I would never want to spend it. And even if I did, I would always look for ways to make up for it. So I always felt that way about money, and I was always clutching onto it. I was always trying to get more of it and keep it and not spend it. So I lived in a very protective shell, and I was afraid to spend it. So the first time I ever, came across this coaching, this person wanted me to buy because he was doing what I wanted to do. He had his own YouTube channel. He just graduated from college and quit his 9-to-5, his full-time job, and he went full-time into entrepreneurship, and he started making more money with coaching. And I was like, dude, how are you doing this? This is exactly what I want to do. And he was like, well, I bought this program by this person, and back then it was $2,000, and I couldn't fathom spending $2,000 on a fucking course. I'd never done that before. And I asked him, hey, if I pay you a couple $100, could you give me access to it for free? Basically trying to illegally gain access to it. And he was like, no, I think it would best serve you if you just bought it. And he was right. I needed to make that investment in myself with my own money. Because when I went to college, it was my parents paid for it and everyone else paid for it. I was just living cushy, comfortably, saving the money that I had. So I did that, and my world started opening up a little bit more. And so that was my first introduction to the world of online business. The real money blocks that I had became apparent to me when I went up and tried to get started in business. So, I learned to monetize this channel and like offer my services, the coaching service that I offer now. And I went ahead and pitched it, and I was really scared. I was like, who would really buy this? I was afraid. I just didn't know, right? A lot of people think like when people start off, they have this amazing belief. I didn't have that. I didn't even know what was going to happen. So I started it, I launched it, no clue what was going to happen. And one person joined, and that was my first dollar online. And I was ecstatic about it. But then after that, I stayed kind of stuck. So this diagram kind of shows you what my journey was like. I hope you can see it. When I started off, that was back in January of 2019. And between January and August, I would say January and July included, I was stuck at around 0 to 5K a month in the business. So one month I would do 1,000, I would go up to 2K, 3K, 4K, maximum 5K, and then I would come back down. And at this point, I realized like all of these money blocks started to become apparent to me. They started to reflect out into my communication with prospective clients, even in the videos that I made. I was in a sort of scarcity mindset. I would be afraid of spending on myself, even taking a vacation or whatever. But then as soon as I started to realize that, I became aware of what was happening, and I did the 3 things that I'm going to share with you, my world started opening up a little bit. And I went from, in January of 2019, doing absolute 0 to in August doing my first $20,000 month. And then from August to January of 2020, I went from 20K to doing 100K a month. And ever since that, I've been doing 100K a month. But the journey, what I want to really say with this is the journey is different for everyone, right? Like, I don't want you to watch this video and think this is going to be an overnight. I'm going to do these 3 things and overnight I'm going to make so much money. No, if that's something you're expecting, please don't watch this video, because that's not what I have for you. This was a long, painstaking process. I know it doesn't seem long, looking at 7 months, because I know typically entrepreneurs go through a cycle of 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. But I had the idea of starting up my own online business a year prior to that. But I actually made the decision to start it like a year later, like 8 months later. So I would say back in March of 2018, I was thinking really seriously about having my own having my own business and monetizing my YouTube channel. I had the channel way before I had the business, right? I was just making videos because I wanted to share the message. So that was pretty much my journey. And between this period, I would say January and August, my money blocks became quite apparent to me. So now the question becomes, how did I solve those money blocks? What were the 3 big things that allowed me to go from the inconsistent 5K a month to doing 20K a month and then 100 grand a month? So that's what I want to share with you right now. The 3 things that helped me change my relationship to money and make more money. Number 1, spend consciously. What do I mean by that? Spend consciously. A lot of the times we spend money, we just go on Amazon and we press the buy now and we just buy it now and we don't worry about it. But I realized that when I do things unconsciously, the outcome that happens is also, something that was supposed to happen in accordance with what you used to believe. If I buy something and the energy behind the action of the purchase was of scarcity, then that purchase would bring me more scarcity somehow into my life. It would propagate the scarcity. Okay, I hope you understand what I'm saying. So, for example, if I buy a course or coaching and I feel scarce, I'm like scared, I'm not, I'm like holding on to my money and then I just spend it unconsciously, feeling that way from that place, then that's exactly what would happen. And don't get me wrong, it's always going to be uncomfortable, but you make the decision right before the purchase. You consciously say to yourself, something good is going to come out of this. Somehow this is going to 10x whatever I've just spent. And I started to use that attitude for not only investing in my business, in like education, coaching, and other services, marketing services, but I also started to use that attitude to taking little vacations, buying little purchases here and there, even for the house when I was living with my parents. So I was always using that attitude. Before I make every purchase, I make a conscious decision that somehow this is going to come back tenfold. Okay? Spend consciously, make a decision. Make decision. It always starts with a decision. Number 2, I ask myself one question every day before doing any activity. So what I want you to remember is that it never really matters what you do. It matters how you do it. It matters what the energy is behind it. So for example, I could say two things. I could say one thing to you in two different ways. I could say, hi. I could say, hi. I'm saying the same thing in two different ways. Do you see what I mean? So there's always a nuance, the energetics of how I'm saying that thing. So in the same way, there's the energetics of how you do one thing, which kind of ties back into this, right? I'm spending the money from an attitude that somehow it's going to benefit me. And guess what? That's exactly what happens, because that's the decision I've made. We create our reality with the decisions that we make, okay? And the resolve that we have in those decisions. So ask yourself this one question before you do any activity. And this is what I was asking myself every day. If I had infinite amounts of money, if I had all the money in the world, how would I do this? Okay? Ask how. So for example, if you're currently stuck in a reality that you don't like, let's say you're working a full-time job. Let's say you have the desire to quit and start up your own business. You have your business on the side. It's doing okay, but not enough for you to make the leap confidently and quit. If I had all the money in the world, how would I, perform? How would I carry about in my 9-to-5? How would I carry about in my business? How would I approach this if I were in that state? Okay? So when we ask ourselves this question, we assume that state of being. Okay? That's what we're doing. And when you assume a state of being, you operate from the end state. Do you see how that's working? So if I'm operating from the state of I've already accomplished everything, how would I do this task? Then every action that I take actually leads up to that end that you've created internally. The infinite abundance that you've created internally. And every action that you take somehow helps you move forward towards that. In this manner, you're consciously crafting your reality, right? That's number 2. And number 3, last but not least, and I think this is one of the most powerful things you can do, and something that's very, very difficult for most of us to do because we fall unconscious. Withdraw your attention from the unwanted and place it on the wanted. What do I mean by this? So what I started to notice was in those months in my business when I was doing like around 4 or 5K, I was always looking at the clients that I didn't sign as opposed to the clients that I did. I was placing my attention on the unwanted reality rather than placing my attention on the wanted reality, the clients that I could sign in the future. So this is what would happen internally. I would, do like a 3K month and be like, oh, if I just had like a couple more clients, I would have done my first 5K month. And when I think that, I get reactive, right? I'm giving all of my energy by reacting to that unwanted scene. And wherever your energy, your attention goes, that's the direction your reality gets developed in. So it's kind of like the concept of heliotropism. If you have a plant and if there's sunlight coming in from a particular direction, that plant will grow in that direction towards the sunlight. So your attention and energy is like that. Which direction, your energy is like this, your attention is like sunlight. Wherever you're placing your attention, that's where this reality will grow. So if I keep placing it on things that I don't want, then more things will happen that I don't want. If I place my attention on the clients that I possibly could get and, the business that I could make and the things that I do want, the revenue that I do want, then that's exactly what's going to happen. If I keep focusing on the clients that I do have and I'm grateful for that, then there will be more clients that I am grateful for. That feeling will get amplified. So your reality is like a mirror. It reflects your internal attitude. That's why the fundamental thing that I'm discussing here is the assumption, first of all, operating from that end state of being. We're not thinking about what to do, when it happens, and all of the little like nitty-gritty that stems out. We're looking at the fundamental principle of reality creation, which is essentially, who am I first? What state of being am I assuming? What is the internal world? Because your external world will always catch up, but the internal world is created internally first. Man has an idea first, then it's a blueprint, then it becomes building, right? So it always starts here in the subconscious, and it's always created in the unity of the heart and the mind. I discussed this whole process in a lot of detail in the last video that I did, where I talk about how I reprogram my subconscious mind to become a millionaire. So you can go and check that out. I put the link in the description below for that. But if you enjoyed this video, I think that video will really help you get a better idea of this and how to reprogram yourself so that you subconsciously begin to operate from that place without having to force yourself and manipulate yourself into that place, right? So let's do a quick recap of what we talked about today. Today, we talked about the 3 things that I did to manifest more money into my life. 3 weird things that I thought would be important for you. I began with my story, and I shared with you what the biggest struggle for me was, which was, I was always in a scarcity mindset. I always kept myself in my comfort zone with the beliefs that I had, and I had a terrible, toxic relationship with money. And then I described to you how I had a money block, and I only realized that I had a money block when I fully involved myself in the entrepreneurial journey, which is what I really love about it, right? I love being an entrepreneur because this is the biggest test of life. When you throw yourself into the river without any life rafts or without any support, you find a way to swim and make it to the shore, or you die. But I hope not in this case. So I started in January of 2019, even though the idea was in conception way before that, maybe a year before that. And I think I had my channel in January of 2018. So I definitely had plans to do that. I mean, it was such a long time ago, I barely remember. So from January and August, I was stuck at around 0 to 5K a month. And then in August, I had my first 20K month, and then 20K to 100K. And those 3 things I did religiously every single day is what I believe truly helped me out. And those 3 things are, number 1, spending money consciously before you spend it on anything. You make a conscious decision that somehow this is going to 10x back into your life. Somehow this is going to help you. And that decision is what gets confirmed in reality. Number 2, always ask one question. How would I do this if I had all the money in the world? What decision would I make if I had all the money in the world? If I were the ideal self who has everything that I've ever wanted and more, what would I do? How would I do it? Number 3, withdraw your attention from the unwanted and place it on the wanted. Anytime you find yourself getting reactive, getting upset, that is your energy. You're giving the energy of anxiousness, the energy of fear, the energy of sorrow. You're giving it your energy, right? So instead, whatever's happening, whatever's naturally arising, if you feel angry, let yourself feel angry. Don't fight it, but don't feed it either. Because when you fight it, you actually begin feeding it. Instead, place your attention on what is wanted. What do you want instead? Instead of thinking about the 3 clients you didn't get, think about all the clients you can get next month. Think about all the clients you did get this month, right? So we're focusing on what we want. Like the concept of heliotropism, we're placing the sunlight where we want it to grow. So anyway, guys, I hope this video was helpful. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that little bell there so you're notified of any new video that I put out. And I would highly recommend that you check out the subconscious mind reprogramming video. I'm going to put the link in the description and also in the pinned comments. Guys, I sincerely hope this was helpful. Till next time, peace.